Everyone I talk to seem to have their own unique expectation of what it's like to live in Williamsburg, Virginia. What they perceive Williamsburg to be like is often far from the truth, and they're surprised to learn what it's really like living here. In today's video, I'm going to dispel 7 common misconceptions about living in Williamsburg, Virginia. Stick around and we'll get right to it. Welcome back to Moving to Hampton Roads. My name is David Tortellini, and I'm excited to tell you about my favorite town, Williamsburg, Virginia. Before we get started, if you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button for me to keep up with all of our great videos on moving to Williamsburg and the rest of Hampton Roads. The more I talk to people who are moving to Williamsburg from other parts of the country, or even other people who live here in southeastern Virginia but don't spend much time in Williamsburg, the more I've come to realize that there's a lot of misinformation out there about Williamsburg. I don't know if these are just assumptions or opinions that made it out into the world a long time ago and have somehow perpetuated over the years, or if it's more of a branding issue with what Williamsburg itself has put out there. So that's why I wanted to put this video together for you, to correct some misinformation and give you a much better idea of what it's like to live in Williamsburg, Virginia. Let's get right into it. Misconception number 1 is that all of Williamsburg looks like Colonial Williamsburg. Okay, I think I blame this one on the Williamsburg Tourism Department. Basically, everything you hear in the media when it comes to Williamsburg is all about Colonial Williamsburg. It's always, come walk the historic streets of Williamsburg, a city stuck in pre-revolutionary time, and so on. It gives the impression that all of Williamsburg is basically Colonial Williamsburg, and that everywhere you go, you'll be surrounded by reenactment characters out and about in their 1700s garb, and that every building you walk into will be 300 years old, and you'll see horses and carriages casually making their way down our main thoroughfares. And then you come here for a visit, and where do you go? Colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown. When people come to visit, they rarely get out into the neighborhoods between CW and Jamestown, and they definitely don't drive to Norge and Towano to see what life is like on the northern end of Williamsburg. So if your entire Williamsburg experience is Colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown, then of course that's what you think the whole place is like. In reality, Colonial Williamsburg is a very small part of Williamsburg. Beyond the borders of CW, you're going to find that Williamsburg is very much a normal suburban town with planned subdivisions filled with homes you'd find just about anywhere else. There are shopping plazas and street lines with restaurants, both locally owned and most major chains, along with modern apartment complexes and condo complexes. You'll find traditional-looking suburban public schools, parks, and playgrounds, most of which are not colonial themed, outside of the subdivision name, of which there are many. So when you get here and start looking for housing, just know that with the exception of a few specific areas, you're mostly going to be looking at housing in normal communities and living a fairly typical, though quite nice in my opinion, suburban life. Number 2, homes in Williamsburg are inexpensive. This is one I experience a lot as a realtor here. I found that the price point expectation in Williamsburg is often out of line with where prices currently stand for many people who are looking to relocate to the area. Now, it's important to note that prices have risen significantly over the past few years. And if you're not following the market regularly, you may still have prices from several years ago in your head and expect them to be close to the same. But Williamsburg has been in higher demand than ever before these past few years. The expansion of I-64 several years ago has made commuting to and from Williamsburg down to the Newport News Shipyard, Langley Air Force Base, and even down to Norfolk significantly smoother. And more folks who are already local to Hampton Roads are realizing that Williamsburg is a great place to live. The city has also been putting a lot of resources into advertising and have helped drive demand for homes in the greater Williamsburg area. So while homes here, compared to major metropolitan areas like Washington, D.C., New York City, and Boston, are extremely affordable, the truth is they're not cheap. Williamsburg now has the highest median sales price of anywhere in Hampton Roads. I do still think that Williamsburg is a great value because it's such a great place to live, but be prepared for homes to be a little bit more expensive than you may have been thinking. A good way to do some research is to head to my website and look at what's currently available. I'll have a link in the description, you can go check those out. That brings us to misconception number 3. Everyone is old and rich. Williamsburg gets this reputation because it's a great place to retire and because it's known for its luxury communities. And because of that, you'll find a larger percentage of the population over the age of 65 than in other parts of Hampton Roads. It's also common that most people can't afford to live in higher end housing, or it's not the best fit for their family until they're a little later in life. But far too many people think Williamsburg is strictly for older folks, living in mansions and gated golf course communities, and it's not a town for young people and families, when in reality, that couldn't be further from the truth. Williamsburg is filled with young families, whether they're military families stationed at Fort Eustis or Langley Air Force Base, or they work down at the shipyard, or a number of other professions. There are many subdivisions that are absolutely filled with families and young people just getting started. So if you're young and someone tells you Williamsburg is just for rich retirees, I'm here to tell you they're absolutely wrong. Even the 55 plus communities in the area, while certainly not cheap, are very approachable price-wise. Now that being said, there absolutely are some gorgeous luxury communities that are ideal for those who are looking for that style of living. Williamsburg is a wonderful place to live if you'd like to be in a gated community with security or right on your favorite golf course. And if that's the case, you should absolutely call me when you're ready to make a move. However, that's not all of Williamsburg. This is very much a town for young people. Misconception number 4. There's nothing to do. This one absolutely boggles my mind whenever I hear someone say there's nothing to do in Williamsburg. And I don't know how Williamsburg got this reputation or if it's just a carryover situation from decades ago, because there is so much to do here. First, Williamsburg is home to 2 world-class amusement parks in Busch Gardens and Water Country, USA. Those alone can occupy your whole summer. If you're into craft beer, Williamsburg has a fantastic craft beer scene with amazing spots like Precarious Beer Project, Aleworks, and Billsburg Brewery, just to name a few. Williamsburg also has a couple of distilleries and meaderies, and a beautiful vineyard in Williamsburg Winery. Williamsburg is also home to many great restaurants for all you foodies out there. There are also many beautiful parks and trail systems with miles and miles of hiking and biking, as well as canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding, the Capitol Trail all the way up to Richmond. There is so much to do. There's even a zip line course at one of the parks. Williamsburg is home to 11 golf courses and also features several great weekly farmers markets, as well as Second Sundays, the largest monthly craft fair in the area. All this on top of having Colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown in your backyard. Really, the only thing Williamsburg doesn't have is a late night scene, but I promise that's not something the residents here are yearning for. Our 5th misconception is that the schools in Williamsburg aren't nearly as good as the schools in York County. Now, I'm not a professional in the field of education, but my wife taught in the area for 14 years, including in York County, and I'm just not sure why this perception persists. You'll even see realtors who take listings in northern York County, which is actually part of Williamsburg, and they say in their listing description something like, Williamsburg address with York County schools. Like that's a huge selling point. I don't have children in either school system yet, but our experience with friends and clients is that both school systems are great. Why the hate for Williamsburg school system is beyond me. My friends, clients, and coworkers who have put their children through the Williamsburg school system are, for the most part, raving fans. Their children have had mostly amazing experiences there. So if you're moving to the area and you hear you have to send your kids to York County schools, and that's what's stopping you from moving to Williamsburg, I would do your own research. Go visit the schools and find out for yourself if the Williamsburg school system is a good fit for your family. Number 6 is that we have a lot of new construction opportunities. Now, this is one that I wish weren't true. I'd love to help more clients build their dream home. Unfortunately, we just don't have very many new communities being built right now. Nor do we have many great private lots available to select your own builder and build on. That's not to say that building new isn't possible, it certainly is. But that won't be a solution for most people moving to the area. I talk to a lot of people who say something like, I'd like something newer, or preferably, I'd like to build new. And I say, great, here are your options for building new. Here are the lots that are available, and here's a builder you can talk to. And within a couple of days, we're focusing 100% on resale housing. Hopefully, in the near future, builders get back to building. There's a lot of room for housing up in northern Williamsburg, like Norge, Towano area, that I'm sure will be the focus of any future expansion. So I certainly don't want to discourage people from looking at building new, but it is a little trickier to make happen than many people think it is. Our final misconception, number 7, tourists take over the whole town in the summer. Tourism is a huge part of Williamsburg's local economy. Colonial Williamsburg, Jamestown, Busch Gardens, Water Country, these draw people in from all around the world. The many hotels, restaurants, and gift shops need tourism in order to survive. So yeah, there are a lot of tourists, and we're very happy that they come spend their money here. But honestly, you really don't notice it all that much, because the attractions are fairly spread out throughout the region, and the tourists tend to blend right in with the general population. There will certainly be busier times when parking at CW can get tough, or the line into Busch Gardens can get really backed up, but I think that's to be expected with anything like that. And when you live here, it's easy to enjoy these things during off-peak times. Like, I'm not going to go to Busch Gardens on Memorial Day weekend. That's just crazy. And we have season passes, as many locals do. So we'll just go the following Tuesday or another day like that. Williamsburg is a far cry from Disney World. So there you have it, the 7 misconceptions people have about living in Williamsburg, Virginia. For what it's worth, I think Williamsburg is an amazing place to live, but one that is a little misunderstood. It really takes spending some time here outside of the main tourist areas to get a feel for the community as a whole and what it's really like to be here full time. So next time you come for a visit, give me a shout and let me know. I'm happy to help point you in the right direction so you can get the most out of your visit. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email anytime. And of course, my team and I are here for you when you're ready to make the move. If you want to explore housing for sale in Williamsburg, I'll have that link I mentioned earlier in the description for you. And if you have any other comments or questions, you can leave those below. In the meantime, please like this video, share it with anyone else you know who may be making a move to Williamsburg, and subscribe to this channel. My name is David Tortellini. I'm with eXp Realty. Thank you so much for watching.